Wow, what an amazing video. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Weathers. I'm a reporter for Spectrum Bay News 9. On behalf of Spectrum Reach, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us today to kick off the new speaker series highlighting the power of community connections. Now, before we jump into the conversation, I'd like to make sure that you understand how to navigate what's on your screen. It's going to be a little tutorial, so bear with me. So on the left side of your screen, you'll find the speakers with ways to connect via social media. Below, you'll find your Q&A box. If you'd like to submit questions around the content, that's where you do it. On the right, you'll find a resource section provided by Spectrum Reach and our panelists with downloadable materials that you can use after the event. Now, there's also a survey on the right-hand side that you can use to provide feedback for Spectrum Reach or any takeaways that you may have learned following today's discussion. Finally, Spectrum Reach asks that you please refrain from recording or live streaming anything on this particular webcast. So today we have an all-star panel made up of some of Tampa Bay's most successful thought leaders in business, branding, and brand building. Now, this webinar, it also helps kick off Spectrum Reach's Connections Communities initiative. Now, this initiative supports businesses by reaching and connecting with diverse audiences. It also provides inclusive strategies that recognize and celebrate culturally diverse communities. Now, Spectrum Reach hopes that you walk away from this event feeling empowered and ready to reach out and connect with your audience in new ways. Now to our panelists. All right, joining us today is Dr. Cynthia Johnson. She is the Director of Economic Business Development with SBDC of Florida in Pinellas County. Give us a little wave. She is also manages the entrepreneurial and small business assistance development initiatives. As a trusted advisor to business, Dr. Johnson has built her career on advocating for interconnection between diversity, inclusion, and positive economic growth. Welcome, and it's great to have you, Dr. J, right?
Thank you, absolutely.
All right, next up we have Catalina Botero. She's the leader and overseer of the efforts of the Hispanic Professional Women's Association and a bilingual account executive here with Spectrum Reach. Spectrum, shout out, yes. Catalina Botero has been part of the marketing industry for nearly 20 years. In addition to her work at Spectrum Reach, she leads the efforts of the Hispanic Professional Women's Association, working to provide mentorship and scholarships to help Hispanic women. She is also the Secretary of the Latino Community Advisory Council and USF Latino Scholarship. Thank you so much, Catalina, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Derrick Blue. He is the CEO of the Tampa Hillsborough Action Plan Group and a successful real estate entrepreneur. Now, Derrick Blue brings a refreshing business approach to the nonprofit sector as he works to create an enterprise focused on making East Tampa the best place to live, work, and play. Now, Derrick works diligently to understand and improve conditions in vulnerable populations, and he partners with the community and community leaders to make an impact in those low-income communities. So we welcome you as well, Derrick.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so we have an incredible group here today, and I'm sure you guys are all ready to hear from this extraordinary panel, so we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. I wanted to start out talking about community and what it means to pay it forward in the minority business community. So the first question I have is, what does community mean to you? And I want you guys to let that marinate. What does community mean to you? What is your definition of community? And how have you and your organization been able to pay it forward? We're going to start out with you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you all for having this wonderful event. What does community mean to me? Community really means a common unity of a group of people in one environment where you can actually feel you have a sense of belonging. You have a sense of a unified belonging, not only to live in that community, to work in that community, to thrive in that community and grow in that community. And how we have tried to pay it forward from our community perspective is we have made sure that we create entrepreneurs who are sustainable. You know, we can always go and register our business and kick into entrepreneurship, but we want our entrepreneurs to be sustainable. So we spend a lot of time coaching and counseling them. We spend a lot of time making sure that their financial infrastructure is put in place properly. So we take the time on foundation building so that our community can stand strong. So community, to me, unity is the most important part of community, because without all of us working together, we wouldn't have a community. So I'm excited, and we're always paying it forward when it comes to building a community of unity where everyone has the opportunity to grow, live, work, and play.
Now, you mentioned sustainability, because that stuck out to me. And that's one of the things maybe some people don't consider when they think about, you know, owning a business, is that core that you need to actually get started and to stay afloat. I'm assuming you guys have a whole program in place for the businesses you interact with.
Absolutely. At the Florida Small Business Development Center, what we do is we do individual business assessments. So when you come in to see us, or we go out to see you, we want to assess your business to find out where your areas of opportunities are, where your areas of growth are. And then from that assessment, we create an individual growth plan for your business specifically. And a lot of our time is spent on that foundation, because our goal is to grow these businesses so that we can create jobs, so that we can have an economic impact on the community. Because every entrepreneur is one job, and then as they grow, we have more jobs, and the more jobs we have, the more our economy is impacted, because we are making money flow through our communities. So we spend time on that. We also spend time on one-on-one training from everything from how to do a business plan, to understanding your marketing strategies, to doing a whole cash flow analysis. And the biggest part of it, Sandra, is really helping our client to understand the language. You know, how do we talk in the same business language? You know how people have love languages? Well, there's a business language that our businesses have to learn how to navigate that language, so we are not intimidated by the language, and we can grow.
And we heard from a lot of people going out on stories and reporting. We heard from a lot of people at the beginning of the pandemic who didn't have all those ducks in a row. So they were trying to get those PPP loans. So this is definitely something that a lot of business owners can benefit from. Catalina, I'm going to ask you to how you define community and how you've been asked to pay it forward within your career.
Thank you, Sandra. Similar to what Dr. Johnson said, to echo her message, our community is a group of people that are working towards a specific common goal. At the Hispanic Professional Women Association, we have been paying it forward for 31 years. We are an organization that empowers women to continue their education, and the members are the professional workforce that they mentor our mentees. And our mentees, they come from every walk of life, whether it's the 18-year-old that's going for the first time to college, or maybe the mom that is validating her career, or maybe the professional that is a professional in her country but is coming to our beautiful country and now wants to be a professional. So we are definitely a powerful group that we lift as we grow. That's the Hispanic professional women.
Awesome. And Derrick, last but not least, how do you define community, and how are you paying it forward?
I would kind of echo, I would kind of echo the whole word community is common unity. And I think it's really understanding what brings people together, because there's some commonality in every group of people. You know, back when I grew up in a small town, and I came from a city to where our block, I could get in trouble. You know, I could be disciplined by any neighbor that was in that block. So I had to watch myself and determine new strategies of how to be slick in my community. But what it brought out was this old adage that says it takes a village to raise a child. But then more importantly, in context to this, it takes a village to raise a business. I mean, It's everybody understanding that there's more that really brings us together than really separates us. And in terms of paying it forward, I think, we have to recognize, kind of like Dr. J and both Catalina were saying, there are a certain group of people who are intimidated by the whole concept of business and scalability and sustainability, and they don't even know the language. And one of the things that we do at our organization is we try to make the dream of operating your own business a reality, and we do that through the type of trainings that we provide. There are a lot of people, they don't even know what a pitch deck is. They think that scalability is on a fish. And what we try to do is teach people the language and try to connect them to the resources that would help them to do, as you asked, become sustainable.
Okay, and I was writing in my notes because I'm borrowing this little phrase. Was it common unity?
Common unity.
I like that. I'm borrowing that one. All right. So now you all have all reached out and worked with different minority business owners, whether it has been to help them get their business started or to help them get more involved in their community. So in your opinion, what does it mean to be a minority business owner today? And what is the value of having those diverse businesses in the community? Derrick, we're going to start with you.
I mean, I don't think we can ignore the challenges that, minority business owners face. For whatever the reason is, there are just some inherent challenges that exist for minority businesses, and that's just the reality of it. However, I'm equally as optimistic because I think that as a city, I'd even venture to say as a country, there's been a lot of attention shown to minority businesses, and even platforms like this that really try to demonstrate, connecting the dots. And I think, we should celebrate the diversity that exists in different communities, even though it's different. But I mean, I actually attended the HPWA luncheon. I understood about 75% of what was being said. However, I could see that there was a much more that connected all of us in the room than the differences that exist.
And Dr. Johnson and Catalina, do you guys want to add anything to that?
If I may, Dr. Johnson, I wanted to say thank you to Derrick, because definitely that, you guys were talking about the difference in the language and the barrier. Imagine in the Hispanic community, right? So above and beyond having the challenges that we have in the business language, obviously we come from different countries and there's different levels of acculturation. So equally excited on the support, equally excited on the opportunities that this kind of conversations bring, and the light that it brings to our market. So, Dr. Johnson.
Yes, the question about minority business and the importance of having minority business, I think that we are at a place and space in this country and definitely in this community where we are really beginning to understand the economic impact minority businesses have, from their innovation to their quality, to their passion, to their capability to really diversify and create new opportunities for us to get the very essential things that we need in life, whether it's accounting services or it's building a home. We can find a minority business that does that. And I think the importance of it is the fact that when we diversify our business community, we are diversifying the ideas, we're diversifying the innovation, we're diversifying the opportunity to really help each other understand. As Derrick said, we have more in common than not. And we can build on that, and we're going to have to build on that if we're going to create a equitable economy where all businesses can rise. So diversity in minority businesses is as vital as it is to have any business in this country. And as we move forward, we are going to have more minority firms. Right now, Minority firms, Black Americans are leading the charge. Female Black Americans are leading the charge in developing new businesses across the country. Not to say that our other minority populations aren't making it happen, but collectively we're doing a phenomenal job. But it does take a lot of support because we do face some real challenges as a minority business population.
And a part of starting a new business, you have to think about marketing. So Catalina, as a marketing expert, Catalina, who has worked with various minority business owners on their marketing strategies, how did the recent pandemic force businesses to pivot their marketing strategies? What adjustments are you seeing?
I definitely have seen different adjustments in the Hispanic market. If you would think, if I can get you to think about the time where we had those PPP loans and the banks were talking about the different, imagine the business language, obviously this culture is this community is bicultural, but still, one of the challenges that we face is that the banking is very different in our countries to where we come here. The trust levels are very dramatic when it comes to the Hispanic community. So we definitely saw a lot of our community struggle. And as we mentioned, we are the matriarchs, right, or the females. And with being the females, obviously we have other duties that we have at the home, and that made it different. I will tell you that some of the examples that I saw were that, the waitress that maybe worked at the restaurant now was doing the Uber Eats. That there were examples that we are nimble. This community is very nimble. We've gone through the process of acculturation, of immigration. So for us, it was another life-changing event, right? We've lived through a couple of those, and we're resilient, and we move forward, and excited to see that we are moving forward, obviously, with the challenges, making sure that the community partners that we have are some that we can trust, because that's something that we see in the community as well, and being able to move it forward.
And Dr. Johnson, you also work alongside minority businesses every day. Did you see any marketing changes? I know I saw a lot of stuff on social media, people stepping outside of the box a bit, kind of maybe taking chances that they normally wouldn't when it comes to marketing. So what kind of changes did you see, and what advice did you provide?
Well, our first immediate and most noticeable change was the use of video conferencing. All of us are now Zoom experts, are some type of video platform expert. We know how to sell on it. We know how to network. We know how to have parties on it. We know how to use it as a tool to move our business forward. So for a lot of our smaller businesses, the comfort level of engaging on a video platform was not very they were not very comfortable with that. So we had to teach classes on how to use Facebook to market your business, how to engage, how to present your product through video. That was very exciting. The pandemic absolutely taught us the importance of being able to have touchless payments. So to change our accounting process, whereas we accept dollars through an electronic payment format instead of, hands-on types of things. It also showed us how the importance of collaboration and working together, because we weren't able to connect in a physical sense, but we had to figure out ways of how to keep our businesses moving forward in a virtual sense. So that was very exciting to be able to do that. And then one of the very interesting things through the pandemic was the creativity and the innovation, the number of businesses that were birthed out of necessity, some was birthed out of passion. And some was really birthed because there was a need and they had an idea to fulfill that need. So we were able to create some very innovative businesses through the pandemic. And you're right, we found out how resilient this minority business community really is, and how we can put in some new tools to make sure that we're sustainable so that we have some business continuity. Should another incident happen, we are prepared, because you talked about the PPP loans just to help people do their taxes, and they have never done them in an electronic process. They're used to going into the facility, into the building and things like that. But now we have started to put some infrastructure in place so that business continuity is not interrupted should we have another incident. So those are some of the very positive things that came out of the pandemic.
And Derrick, I work with a lot of different backgrounds who are coming in and trying to set up their new business. What kind of conversations are you having when it comes to marketing? Are you showing people how to make TikTok videos? What's happening there?
That was one of the things that was extremely interesting about this is that, I say this, that, crisis is the incubator for innovation. And what I've seen is people who have historically done business, brick and mortar. They swore by that. The internet was the devil. And, I like to look a man in his eyes and all of those type of things. And I was able to see a lot of business owners who are older. Now, I'm seeing, my dad and mom and grandparents on Facebook and advertising their businesses. And I think one of the things that I saw happen as we talk about pivoting, during the pandemic at our space, what I saw, and that key word was resilience. People understanding, and are we going to stay here and die? Or are we going to search for ideas? Are we going to search for ways to make things work? I saw individuals who made natural products start developing all natural disinfectant. People who were selling things on the street, finding out ways to make face masks. I know a high school student who made 5 figures in a month. When we look at the pivoting, and it was interesting, and I think I mentioned this during one of our past conversations. I noticed that during the pandemic, people decided, man, I only get one life. What am I going to do? Am I going to sit on my dream? Am I going to keep working for a job that I probably hate? And what I noticed is that folks started coming to our organization being 5508. People started coming there and saying, look, I have a dream. And I heard this is where dreams are realized. So we noticed that there was a surge, and I counted this number. There were 81 inquiries that we got at our facility at the height of the pandemic, at the height of the stay-at-home order. So when we talk about pivot, we can call 2020 the year of the pivot because folks really, really started to pivot.
Wow. Now that was powerful. I got chills when you said these people showing up saying, hey, this is where dreams can be realized. That's amazing. We're going to switch gears here and talk about another topic here, and it's about reaching the right audience. I know you mentioned that, people are taking different avenues, maybe going on Facebook or, Instagram or whatever social media platform. But what are some of the ways that businesses can ensure they're reaching the right target audience or even a diverse audience? Dr. Johnson, we'll start with you first.
Well, the first thing is they need to know who their audience is. Sometimes we make a great hot sauce and we want to sell it in one area where if we don't take the time to do the research and find out that, in our community, nobody really likes hot food. So, so that's not our focus. We should not be going there. So I think that what we have to do is, one, know the market, utilize agencies and technical assistance to help you identify how do you reach out to your market. The pivot that occurred through the pandemic is long lasting. Now we have a global footprint that we can make. That's one of the greatest things. Now, your product can be seen all over the world. And so the world can now become part of your marketing strategy. And how do you do that? How do you really strategize on how do you reach each area of the market? And that's where, we provide that technical assistance to do so. Because one of the things that we find is we don't grow because we don't know. And when we start to be more informed about how to be strategic about our marketing strategies, then we're really utilizing our dollars that we've set aside for marketing to get the biggest return on that initial investment. So I think our marketing strategies and really knowing what the market is, how it looks, how do we take that idea and turn that idea into money, and understand the inventory cycle. What does it take before you sell it and you get your money back in the, in the business? So it's that whole process that is encompassing of your marketing strategy that I think our businesses will be well served to, visit Derrick, myself, and, visit the Hispanic Women's Center just to make sure that we are doing these things right. Because again, it's about sustainability. We want to create resilient minority businesses in our community. We don't want them here today and gone tomorrow, because they bring such value. We want to spend the time on the front end, making sure that when, as the old adage is, we want them to build their house on a solid foundation, not on quicksand. We don't want it quick and gone. We want it to really last.
Y'all dropping some gems. I just took this one down. We don't grow because we don't know. I'm borrowing that one too. Derrick, you were chiming in too when she was talking about this. What do you think?
I mean, she said it perfectly. What happened if what happened during what we consider this pivot that the whole world had to make was we went from fishing in ponds to having a whole ocean. When I look at even churches that may have had limited membership of about 15. The church is a business too, to a certain degree, having limited membership, 15, 20 people. Now they have the whole World Wide Web. Their pulpit just quadrupled in size because they were able to pivot. And always, when we're talking about marketing, I think it's important to understand, to know what you don't know, and then connect with folks that know. And I mean, I'm from the country, and what I do realize is that you have to know your audience, and not to be redundant, but you can't fish for catfish in salt water. You have to know what bait would attract certain groups of people. I recognize that, may not want a whole food in the hood. We may not want that, but I know what folks want. And I think it's marketing, is understanding, as was mentioned, who your audience is and what they like.
Gotcha. So I doubt that I'm going to be saying can't fish for catfish in salt water, but I like it. Catalina, same question to you. What are some of the ways that you've helped businesses kind of ensure that they're reaching the right target audience? I know you mentioned a language barrier. So how do you get past that with some of the people you're interacting with?
Oh, absolutely, Sandra. Just to continue the conversation, definitely, I agree that you should know your audience. That is definitely very important, and how the audience interacts with the brand. The opportunity that we have is to expand to new targets. There's many times that I see the Hispanic lawyer only advertising to the Hispanic community, or the Anglo community only advertising to the Anglo, and it's just being inclusive and really looking at the population as a whole and evaluating, because we're having a multicultural conversation right now. So really looking at that's a growth opportunity. Maybe you've never looked at a multicultural community to be able to grow your efforts. Maybe for the last several years you've been advertising to a community and you haven't been speaking to this community that continues to grow and thrive, and we're consuming and we're affluent. So definitely bringing that inclusivity to your brand. And just to add to it, also to have a diverse workforce. We become brand ambassadors, and that's the way that companies are definitely able to look into a multicultural community. So, just to partner up with companies that have capabilities that are multicultural, and that they also have transparency in their delivery, is what I would say.
Awesome. Now, before we wrap up the conversation, I want each of you to share a piece of advice to our audience members who might be developing a marketing campaign or strategy for the first time. what are some of the key ingredients that they need to consider in their plan? And I know some people may get, fearful. Oh, I think I know everything, or I could look it up at this, how to start a business for dummies. But you guys are right here, right now, and you have the experience. So they're going to get these nuggets of information that you can't necessarily find in a book real quick. So if you had to sum it up, how would you start? Derrick, we're going to start with you.
Okay. The first, and I'll make a few points, and as you were talking, I was thinking, the first thing is, I would say, tell your story. People buy you before they buy your product. I would say you have to be consumer centric. There are some establishments that are customer service friendly. It has to revolve around your consumer. Don't be afraid to use all of the platforms, whether it be direct mail, social media, LinkedIn, TikTok, Sandra, as you mentioned, Twitter, do it all. And then two, be adaptable. You have IQ, you have EQ, and then you have AQ. Be willing to adapt. Maybe your way is not the best way. Maybe, maybe there's a better way to do it. Maybe there's a better way to say it. And then to echo perhaps what Catalina or either Dr. J said is create your ambassadors. Create people who will be your walking billboards. Influencers, connect with people just like that. And I think those are at least a few, ingredients to include in a marketing strategy.
Catalina, you got any
Thank you.
marketing campaign gems to drop on us?
Absolutely. I will add to that to make sure that the partners that you're choosing, make sure that they're scale, right? Scalability, Dr. Johnson mentioned it. Scalability is very important. You have to, mesh yourself with providers that can help you reach your local market. We saw it in the video. We can make your brand look, national, and we're also your neighbor, so we can make it look local. In the Hispanic market, we have a community that is Spanish dominant, that it's bilingual, that it's bicultural, maybe it's a third generation. How can we reach all of that potential? And I think something else that Derrick mentioned is a multi-screen approach. We are very complex people, and definitely the social media is here to stay. We have television. Television gives you grandeur. Obviously, we have you on Bay News 9, the fact that we're local and we have our local news 24 hours a day. We should be able, there are different strategies for us to be able to use the platforms, and people have a perception that television is very expensive. And I'm here to tell you that we have capabilities for every size of the business, and we can reach your ideal target. Last but not least, I would say the transparency, and that's what really makes us different. Your marketing efforts, you need to know exactly where the dollars are going, how many people are you reaching, how many impressions, where are they watching. There's a lot of people that are streaming their media consumption, and you mentioned tell your story and share it, and to continue that power of video. So we're here to help you grow.
And Dr. J, you got any gems? Are long gone the days of the benches with the ads on them, or what kind of advice do you give to people?
Long gone are those days, but I would say, first of all, you have to be authentic with the message. You have to present a message that is authentic and intentional. Be intentional about your marketing efforts. Every opportunity is not your opportunity. Be strategic. Take the time to decide where your market is going to be and how you're going to spend your time so that you can have that return on the investment. And then I really want, I think it's very important for our audience to really realize that, we all work very hard. And would you spend your money to buy your product, service, or good? So you have to believe in what you're doing, that you would even spend your money to buy your service, product, or good. They say, remember what you say to yourself because you're always listening. Well, remember what you're selling because that is who your customer is buying. And that's the brand that you're creating for yourself. And always, lastly, I'll just add this, our customers are our CEOs. You don't get into business as an entrepreneur to be your own boss and all of these great things, make a lot of money. Yes, we hope all of those come to fruition, but your customer is your chief experience officer. They are the ones who get the experience when they engage with you. And then they do become those ambassadors. They do become those champions. And what message are you giving them to deliver? Are you giving them the message of quality? Are you giving them the message of innovation? And are you giving them the message of capacity building? Or are you giving them the message that they need to find someone else to get that job done? So we have to be authentic and have real conversations when it comes to marketing, because just because you have the money to market your product, service, or good, you have to make sure you have the strategy to utilize that money so you're getting a strong return on your investment, so your CEOs are delivering the message that you want them to deliver.
Chief Experience Officer. I wrote that one down too. All right. I want to thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Dr. J, Catalina, Derrick, for sharing your words of wisdom. We're going to switch gears here. It is 5 o'clock somewhere. I want to introduce you to Spectrum Reach's friends over at our virtual bar, Penny and Duggan. Penny, over to you.
Thank you, Sandra, and welcome to everyone in the Tampa Bay business community. I'm Penny. I'm here as your bar back today. We're going to be making a hibiscus spritz. You can see here on the screen all the things you need to gather up to make a really delicious drink. I'm going to pull this down though, because we're going to go through it. We're going to talk and we're going to share all the tools and everything that you're going to need to have a really, really fabulous drink in your hands really shortly. But before we do, I wanted to, of course, again, thank Sandra for including us in the Connecting Communities webinar with Spectrum Reach and just to get to share this really refreshing drink. And to keep us all connected, it's so important in today's America to keep connected. So like I said, we're going to talk about all of the tools that you're going to need. I really hope you guys made that delicious hibiscus simple syrup to make this cocktail. And welcome, everyone, to our virtual bar. We're going to be working today with acclaimed bartender, Duggan McDonald. Duggan, what is your favorite drink?
Hey, everyone. Hey, Penny. My favorite, what I've been drinking, how about lately? How about this spring?
Okay.
So it's warm. I'm here in California. So not too dissimilar, say, than what the weather that's happening in Florida this time of year. And look, I'm so typical. I love margaritas, okay? The margarita is the #1 selling, most popular cocktail in the country. Tequila continues to soar, and so I love playing with margaritas. And so this hibiscus, that we're going to play with today, I actually, I make hibiscus lemonades, non-alc, of course, for my daughter, as you know, and I'm always, there's some left over. Then I start, adding it to my margs, and, I'm off to the races. The cousin of the margarita also is a Paloma, right?
Yes.
Grapefruit and a little effervescence. If you make a hibiscus Paloma too, amazing.
Duggan, I've never made a hibiscus Paloma. Palomas are my second favorite drink to a margarita. You and I we have that in common.
Yes.
I do enjoy a good gin and tonic as well. I really do. I really do. I'm so excited to get into this, but you know what I haven't done, Duggan, is I haven't actually introduced you.
Okay.
So let me just share with everybody a little bit about your background. You guys, Duggan McDonald, are you kidding me? Food and Wine magazine calls him the leader of the American cocktail revolution. The leader, my friends. Duggan is, he's been in the scene forever. He's done some really, really amazing things. He's a little bit of a book nerd, which I think is fabulous. So let's just take it back to 2007. So in 2007, Duggan, you were in San Francisco, and what did you do?
I opened a bar.
You opened a bar?
Yeah. It was a great thing. And at the time, Penny, speaking of margaritas, it had the largest collection of Latin spirits in the world. So we're talking 350 bottles of all of these esoteric tequilas, mezcals, piscos, cachaças, rums, etc. And everything was fresh, and it was just a place to gather and have a great time.
You know, I love that, especially since we're talking about community today. We're talking about connection. And, you know, I'm a little nerdy too. So the other thing that you had there were a lot of books, right? A lot of books sort of in between the bottles. And of course, I know, but these guys don't know, you are an author as well. Your book, Drinking the Devil's Acre, kind of talks about your path, right? And that exploration and how you fell in love with cocktails and cocktail history. And you own a distillery?
So many things. I couldn't get enough.
Well, you certainly are a busy man, and it's really really so great that we have this time together when we can really you know, just talk about what you love and what I love, and to make this great cocktail for people. So maybe we should jump in and talk about what people need to have to make this.
Absolutely. And thank you for the very warm and gracious introduction. Hey, so everybody at Spectrum. You know, as you can see, I've got a little bar right in front with everything on it. And you had that slide which listed all the ingredients, right? But you know, the point of having a cocktail, either for yourself, when you're relaxing, connecting, etc., is just to really get to the finish line. So you don't have to have all the exact equipment. So I want to make that known. We want everyone to be able to play together, whether it's now, later on today. We want you to have that done. So first of all, Penny, you can't make a cocktail without ice. So always ice in the drink, ice when shaking, when building, etc. Now we're going to be doing a short shake today. So I've got my fancy Japanese shakers, right? But look, a protein smoothie thing. Okay.
Well, listen, I haven't been going to the gym because of quarantine, so that protein shaker needs something to do, right?
Okay. Well, so it's liquid tight. So is this mason jar. Okay.
Sure.
That was my thing. And you know what? I haven't used this protein smoothie thing either, lately, except, you know, here. I should make a cocktail to go after this. Maybe that's what I'll do. Put it in there. Hit the sidewalk. We need to squeeze our fresh citrus. Okay. So I know you got 2 of these, Penny, but you know, from Sur La Table or whatever store you got is better. And then we're talking about a balanced ingredient. Excuse me, cocktail for all of your ingredients. So we use the good old American jigger, right? So this is 2 ounces on the top, 1 on the bottom, right? And the structure of the cocktail we're going to be doing is 2-1-1. It follows those ratios. But if you don't happen to have one of those, okay, I say go in parts or ratios, okay?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So look, I got an espresso cup here, and I literally was at a friend's house a couple days ago. He said, "Come on over, Doug, and I want you to try these tequilas, etc. We're going to make margaritas." He didn't have anything, and so I improvised in his kitchen with how to do that, and I used his espresso cup, right? So I did full on the tequila, so alcohol to here, and then half of the lime, half of the syrup. And we were there, right? So I'm just telling you, this literally, I practice what I preach, okay?
Right.
So, and then our sweetener today, I did make a house-made hibiscus syrup, okay? And this is the same one that I always make. I used my favorite Republic of Tea hibiscus. This one slays it, Penny. If you haven't had this one, please.
I love that one, Duggan. I love that one.
And then do you remember how to make simple syrup?
You know, I do. I have a kid as well, and you and I are both making a lot of mocktails or, you know, fancy lemonades for our kids. So we like to play with simple syrups, and I know you guys do too. Yeah,
so equal parts sugar and water, right? And today, you know, just in this little 12-ounce jam jar, I filled it, you know, halfway with my sugar, boiling water, and literally put the tea bag on top, short stir, let it sit for 10 minutes, pulled out the tea bag, and then sort of closed the lid on it, shook it violently. That syrup was ready. 10 minutes. And now, you know, I'm going to have 10 drinks, right? Really.
Look at that color.
Yeah, it's going to be gorgeous. And it's making me a little thirsty.
Me too, Duggan.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's make a hibiscus spritz.
Okay. So, folks, you always want to start from where your drink is going to end up, right? So are you drinking out of a coffee mug, a cocktail daiquiri glass? Today, because we're adding some effervescence, I'm going to use this lovely etched highball glass. Okay, Penny? So that's what I'm going to do. So I set that down in front of me, okay? And then whatever you're going to be building your drink into for the shaky, okay? So I'll go here. So look, this structure of this drink is really a Tom Collins. Okay, it's like full stop. We're making Tom. That's the structure, right? So you have your alcohol, your acid, your sugar. So it's 2 parts parts of your spirit, part of your fresh juice, one part of your syrup. We're going to do a short shake to integrate them, and we're going to pour it tall with some effervescence, right? Traditionally at Tom Collins is gin, lemon, sugar, seltzer, right? Today, preserving the same classic structure, but making it sort of more effervescence and contemporary, we are doing tequila, lime, the house-made hibiscus syrup, and just because I couldn't resist being cute, a can of LaCroix. Because everybody in America has their favorite LaCroix now, okay? I know
they do.
Everyone's got an opinion, okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, this is your drink, so you optimize it with, are you a grapefruit person, you know, a mandarin? Like, what is your soda? That's how you should be making your drink. All right, let's get started. So, Penny, again, my principal spirit, as you can see, I've got gin, I've got vodka, cognac, whiskey, mezcal. It's your choice, because this cocktail is absolutely amazing for a spritz for any spirit. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and pour it down here on the bar top. So I'm doing 2 ounces, right? So that's to the tippy top of the jigger, all the way in. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to flip the jigger over, and I'm going to do 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lime. All right. Invert that there, get a good, healthy squeeze. You know, the limes today are a little small. It's all right.
Do you have a trick, Duggan, for getting the most lime juice out of your limes? I don't know. I hear lots of things, but I'm curious, what is your trick?
You know what? So when limes are in season, which is the winter, right? They're gonna have more volume. But I'll tell you what, so you can see right there, I'm gonna use almost 2 limes. So I'm just gonna, but you don't want to squeeze all the way through, okay? Because here's why. I'm going for the close-up here.
Yeah.
Has some stuff in it. But if I squeezed it all the way through, let's say like I got a spent hull right here and really smashed it all the way through, there's seeds in there. And there's, you can come on up to the big screen now, just a second. And that's not awesome. So like,
right.
I don't know how to say it. It's not awesome. Bitterness is not awesome.
I like grapefruit and I like lime and all of those things that are zingy and bitter, but not the pith. No, yeah, nobody wants the pith.
At the end, they're trying to get it out. You're just putting bitterness in there. That's not going to be good. All right. So
how do you feel? Yeah. Before we do ice really quickly, Duggan, how do you feel about those the bottles of lime? Like, you know, the real lime juice bottles. Do you play with those?
No.
Why would you when it's so easy to make your own simple syrup, squeeze your own lime? I know.
Fresh is best, folks. No. I mean, look, if you're camping, or if you're at someone else's house, or if you don't have a lime tree nearby or a store, fine, you'll take that with you. What this does set up, and thank you, Penny, is the ratios become even more important. Okay?
Right.
Understanding your ratios. Look, the brighter, fresher flavor here is going to be better. Now, also, acid, as soon as a lime is cut or anything is juice, it starts to fall, right? So the inflection point changes, okay? So in a pre-batch bottle, it's going to be a little more homogenized, a little more flat. It's not going to be as okay? So I have just put everything together. I want a bright cocktail that sings. All right, so 2-piece shaker, ice, ready to go, liquid tight, okay? I've got my thumb. Got my hand here on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Shaky, shaky, shaky.
All right. And frosted right here. I could hear on the inside that the ice was starting to break down. All right. So I knew I'd oxygenated enough. I diluted enough. And then I'm going to do a little quality control here.
I love this technique. So how do you do that?
So you insert the straw into the liquid, stop it right here, okay? And then voila, in there. Now, so say this was for you and you're like, you know what, Duggan, that lime juice is a little too much. Can you soften it up for me? And I'll say, yeah. So then what I would do is just put a little drizzle of more syrup in there, right? Just to balance it out, because maybe I did have extra acidic limes that day, right? Things can change.
Right.
I'm going to integrate that. And now let's do our favorite flavor. All right.
Hibiscus.
In the recipe, it calls for up to 3 ounces. What I like to do, Penny, is just splash some in the bottom.
Okay.
Get that effort going. And as you can see here, I'm layering in that pink. So all those bubbles are going to come up to the top, right? So this is my thing. I don't like to float effervescence on top because then it just gases off, right?
Okay.
I don't think that's neat. Put a little bit of yellow on there. This is a beautiful garnish. And then my drink is ready to go.
Cheers! I love it.
Oh, yes. Sandra, Spectrum, everybody in the community. There may be no better way to achieve a new connection, Penny, than sharing a cocktail with someone.
Yeah.
And we have got to do this for a year now, and it's actually been really amazing and offered us a lot of lessons. So keep saying, like, I can't wait to meet in person. Yes, that's true. But also, this has been a game changer, right, in terms of connecting and virtually entertaining each other. So I just want to say cheers to everyone. And
cheers, everyone. Cheers, everyone. It's so great to get to be, like I said in the beginning, a part of the Spectrum Connect event today. And what a really, really gorgeous cocktail. Of course, I don't have one today, but I am making one this evening. That looks fabulous. But, you know, Duggan, you were talking before we started about all the spirits that you have there and about switching this out, that this is essentially a Tom Collins. So I mean, what other spirits would you put in this for if we were doing everything else exactly the same? Yeah.
So, you know, first of all, I think that you were saying you also like gin. So
I do.
Is a flower. A flower is a botanical, right? So gin really works really well here, right? So you can go back to its source. All right, a gin, Colin. So I've got, you know, Monkey 47, which is a great gin right over here. You could play that in there. You know, vodka traditional, right, as well. It's a little lighter, shall we say. But look, if you, I tell you what, this is not too dissimilar to an old classic drink called a Jack Rose, okay, which is Applejack brandy, right? So apple brandy mixed, right? And it's got grenadine in it. Okay.
Okay. So not a reference to the Titanic film. Not a.
That would be Jack and Rose. Yes. Are you down there? So instead of the grenadine, right, which is made from pomegranates, we have hibiscus, right? So it ends up being very similar, right? So any brown spirit, aged spirit, is what I'm thinking of, right? So I've got bourbons right here. I've got beautiful Irish whiskeys, and on the end there, I've got something very sort of primal and smoked, and that's mezcal. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
The point and counterpoint of having something sort of smoky and earthy with having something light and effervescence and floral is also really amazing. And as you know, down in Latin America, hibiscus is called Jamaica. Okay?
I do.
A lot of mezcal drinks with Jamaica. So I think that we spoke about the whole bar. And so I want to, you know, remind everyone of is this structure of a drink is absolutely amazing, right? So we did 2-1-1, 2 ounces of your favorite spirit, 1 ounce of fresh squeezed citrus, 1 ounce of a syrup, short shake, build it, and then just layer in a little bit of your favorite soda. You're good to go.
Gosh, that is so spectacular. I love it. And this trick, this is a new thing for me. I never fail to learn things from you. So I love the idea that you did a little bit of seltzer on the bottom.
Yeah. Look at it. Naturally, it's going to integrate, right? And it's going to tell the story. Okay. That's the way to go, is always splash that in first. And if you want to add a little bit at the top for a lift, but then again, once down here, Penny, you know, all those bubbles are coming up. I don't want that. That's a little, you know, I got a bubble in the eye. No. I want the bubbles in my drink, you know? Very good.
That's great. So we could basically take these ratios, and I want to make sure that I've got the ratios right and that everybody listening has them right. So it's 1 part spirit, 2 parts spirit, 1 part sweet, and 1 part sour. And that could be anything that your heart desires.
Yes. And now, I did a short shake, okay? You don't have to do a short shake. You can, shall we say, you know, do an empty glass. And what I would say then, Penny, is I did the short shake, and then I put ice all the way to the top. If we want to just do half ice, okay, just build it. Like, say you don't have a shaker, right?
Yeah.
Up your can, pour a couple ounces in. Okay, not adding ice yet. Pour a couple ounces in, and then do your, you know, your spirit. your citrus, your sweetener, and then stir it all up and then fill the thing with ice. It's ready to go. You know, really, really simple and absolutely refreshing.
Duggan, this has been so fabulous. Listen, cheers, everyone. And once again, Doug and I would really like to thank you for joining us and our little segment here of the Connecting Communities webinar with Spectrum Reach. And Sandra, cheers, and back to you.
Thank you.
The next part of that presentation was going to include them telling me that they were putting a drink in the mail for me. Now, that was a refreshing way to end the conversation. We want to thank Duggan and Penny for sharing that delicious treat. And of course, to our wonderful panelists, they gave us so many gems, so much information today. And on behalf of Spectrum Reach, I'd also like to thank you, our audience, for attending today's discussion. Have a great afternoon.